Good afternoon, it's Logan Albright here, back with another book review for you, all out there in YouTube land. And today, I want to talk about a book I just finished reading, actually just minutes ago, The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Erin Morgenstern, you will remember, is the author of The Night Circus, which is a book I enjoyed a lot and I reviewed on this channel, so you can check that out. And this is her second novel, which just came out recently, and I got a signed first edition copy of it for Christmas, which is lovely. I don't want to talk too much about the plot of The Starless Sea, partially because I don't want to give it away, and partially because there's not that much of a plot to begin with. It's very dreamlike. It's very image-focused. It's very evocative. It's a story that reminds me of Alice in Wonderland. It reminds me a little bit of the writing of Neil Gaiman. It's got a heavy fairy tale influence. And it starts off with this boy named Zachary, who discovers a book in his library that's mysterious and that has a description of himself in it. And he goes down a strange rabbit hole journey through this crazy magical world called the Starless Sea. The story is broken up into little sub-stories between the chapters. There's parts of the books that the characters find in various libraries. There's little fairy tales, and they all kind of loop together and make sense at the end, which is one of the things I really liked about the book. There's a lot of dovetailing and a lot of doubling back, and you kind of have to go back and reread things, which is okay. I don't think that's a problem, but things make more sense as you go along. So you'll get an introduction to a character early on in a little side story, a little side fairy tale, and you won't find out who that character is or what the purpose of the story is until much later, which I kind of thought was cool. I thought that was cleverly done and well executed. The imagery, as I said, is very dreamlike. It's very, a lot of symbolism in there. There's a lot of cool looking things, a lot of things that really hit a lot of the buttons of people like me who like mythology and who likes fairy tales and who like stories. You know, there's bees and there's crowns and swords and there's hidden libraries and these ancient ships, and there's all kinds of things that would look great on a movie screen and things that really stir your imagination and make you really visualize the things going on in the book. Which leads me to my first of two minor criticisms of the book. The first criticism I have is that a lot of the stuff in the book really feels like it's there because it's cool and not because it needs to be there to service the story. I feel like there's so many of these things where the author just had sort of a visual idea and just threw it in because she liked it, and it doesn't actually need to be there. Like there's an owl king who wears a crown because owls wearing crowns is cool, not because there needs to be an owl king. There's a sea made out of honey, not because there needs to be a sea made out of honey, but because that's a cool thing. And I think there's a very tight and interesting story at the heart of this, about this kind of hidden library underneath the ground that would be sufficient to drive the novel by itself. But there's all this filigree around it. There's all these other things that she throws in that feel like unrelated kind of random ideas that are thrown in and tacked together. And they're beautiful and they're well written, and I like a lot of the imagery that they provide. But from a storytelling standpoint, they don't really add that much. And so that's one of my minor criticisms of the book, which I did thoroughly enjoy. My other minor criticism of it is there's a little bit of pretension about the whole thing. There's a whiff of pretension. The author is very keen to let you know all the books she has read, and there's a lot of name dropping of books, and they're not even really obscure books. They're books that I've read. Almost every one of them I've read. But she gives the sense of being desperate to show how well read she is, and by name dropping and putting in allusions and references to all these different books. And I guess you could say that it's sort of I read in another review that this is sort of a love letter to storytelling, and maybe that's why they're there. But to me, it felt like a little bit show-offy. Like, look at all the books I've read. Do you get the reference to Daisy Buchanan? Do you get the reference to the picture of Dorian Gray? That's why it's there. And I found that a little bit pretentious, so I didn't like that. But apart from that, the book was a great, enjoyable read. It really kind of takes you on a journey. It picks up a lot at the end. I think there was kind of a slow part in the middle, but it picks up at the end, and you start really wanting to know what's going to happen and churning through the pages quickly, or at least I did. And I thought it was a beautiful book. It had a lot of things in it that appeal to my particular sensibilities as well, which is why I think I kind of liked it. If you like all these kind of mystical, magical fairy tale elements, it reminded me a little bit of The Labyrinth, the movie with David Bowie. It has a lot of those kind of feelings to it. And if you like those things, you'll like this book. But again, some of it seemed like it was kind of arbitrarily stitched in there to be cool and to have those imageries and to hit those buttons. Overall, I think I like the Night Circus a little bit better than this one, but I think this is certainly a worthy successor. And if you like the Night Circus, you should pick this one up and give it a read. You'll probably like it as well. I'll be interested to see what Erin Morgenstern has in store for the future. I think it took about 6 or 8 years after the publication of the Night Circus to get this second book out. So it may be a while before we see a third. We'll see how it does, if it sells well or not. But I liked it, and I will certainly read her third book when and if it comes out. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I've been Logan Albright. I'll catch you next time with another book review, and be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. See you later.